Hi, I'm Justin Struble. Today I want to tell you about what they're calling Web 3.0. You might see this as the crypto revolution or the crypto hype. You might see this as the metaverse and what Facebook is now changing its name to Meta. You might see this as this NFT world where you have these virtual tokens and people are spending, in some cases, over $1 million on a piece of digital artwork that many of us could have done by hand, scratching it out on paper or some sort of a digital image that is unique, but not necessarily something we would put side by side next to a masterpiece traditionally. I want to break this down into a couple different layers and try and compare this, we're going to call it Web 3.0, to Web 1.0, which everybody should be pretty familiar with. Web 1.0 was the internet. It's when we first got online. We had the dial-up internet. And I relate Bitcoin to like a gold standard. So this is kind of like the foundation of that internet. And I've gone into detail on Bitcoin and how I see it, but just conceptually say that this is a virtual gold. It's not an investment. It doesn't produce money for you. It's a holding of value, and that value is only as good as other people's opinions of the entity, the Bitcoin or gold. There's limited supply, yada, yada, yada. That's how Bitcoin fits into this. It's more like the infrastructure of, there are hard lines underneath the ground that you have to run this internet on. Think of it that way. This Web 1.0 analogy, if you look at Ethereum, which is the second largest cryptocurrency, this is like a search engine on the web. Think of Google. Google came out in the late 90s. There were other search engines before that, but frankly, none of us knew about them, and we didn't even know about Google until the early 2000s when it finally became commonplace to search for something. Ethereum gives you that power. The Ethereum is a cryptocurrency, but it's really set up for these networking effects. Its objective is to allow whatever gets built on this Web 3.0, or in Google's case, whatever shows up on the Web 1.0, the internet, you can find it by using this tool. Ethereum is that monetary version in Web 3.0, saying, yes, there is a monetary value to anything you buy or sell or transact in this Web 3.0 world. Then you get into a lot of these NFTs, these tokens. They're called altcoins. If you go on Coinbase or just Google it, you can go and say what kind of cryptocurrencies are out there, and there are thousands of them. And they lump in Bitcoin and Ethereum with all the others. I think that's a mistake. There's a few others that are this first level, like Bitcoin and Ethereum. But most of the other tokens, I'll call them tokens, are actually built off of Ethereum's network. And so if Ethereum is that Google, then these other tokens are like websites that are transactable or searchable by Google, in this case Ethereum. And you can say, oh, I want to go buy this CryptoPunk, which is a digital art. And say, oh, I want to buy it. Well, you're going to pay for it with Ethereum. And you can say, oh, I want to go buy this virtual piece of real estate. Great. You can buy that with Ethereum. There are other tokens. You can buy different ones that aren't Ethereum, and they can all convert. So it is complicated when you start saying, well, what's the real difference? But think of it as Ethereum is this network effect, similar to Google. And these NFTs are really tokens that have application use. It's a website. It's like saying, okay, Amazon is a website. Is there value to Amazon? Absolutely. That's been proven. But 10 years ago, 20 years ago, was Amazon a proven entity? Was it even profitable? No. That's where we are with these NFTs. We're in the infancy where the values that are out there, some of them might be justified. Some of them will go to zero. They'll be completely worthless and they'll get lost and nobody will care. And there will be many that lose value in some sort of a crash or correction and recover and become accurately priced, let's call it that. Now, all of this development, why is this moving this way? and I'll bring in Facebook at the moment. Facebook changes its name to Meta, which means metaverse, is what they're basically implying. And this is this Web 3.0. And this is the equivalent of Facebook for Web 1.0. None of us in 2001 or 2000 even said, oh, we're going to have the ability to socially interact with people. The most we had was a Yahoo Messenger or some sort of IM on our computer, where we're sitting in front of our computer and a friend is over there and we already are connected because we know each other's names on this system. We can message them and say, hey, I'm going to lunch, or hey, do you want to go play basketball, or whatever it was. Nowadays, we do that kind of thing on Facebook. The metaverse is this social interaction on Web 3.0. It is Web 3.0. And it integrates these NFTs, which is anything you're consuming. Think of Amazon on Web 1.0, or TVs and streaming and Netflix, and all this is all 1.0. It's a social platform. But this metaverse is really our interaction where we're going to have a virtual life, a virtual personality, and we'll be able to interact with people virtually. And it's just a stepping stone above what we're doing right now in social networking, but we're adding in, for one, monetary significance. We're actually spending money. Right now, if somebody walks down the street and they've got a $5,000 suit on and a Rolex watch, you're going to notice. They're driving in with a Rolls Royce. Okay, you're going to notice. For whatever reason, they decided to buy those things. The same thing will happen on this metaverse. People will be buying, whether it's a digital art, whether it's a fancy logo on their shirt, whether it's something valuable, perceived valuable, but it's only bought for the value, these collectibles or limited editions. It's going to happen on the metaverse. And it already is happening. But right now, it's so early that, in my opinion, it's speculation. It's gambling, which doesn't mean it's bad. By all means, have fun. It is not an investment unless you truly understand why you're buying it and what's your expected future value and your risk, your downside. Now, I personally own Bitcoin. I own Ethereum. I bought my first NFT the other day, and I've gone into a metaverse, what they have right now. It's very limited, and I am starting to understand it. It's not really where I want to spend my time, but I'm doing it as a research project to say, okay, I need to understand this and I need to articulate it to my clients, friends, family, and whoever wants to listen to me. But that's how I see it. Think of Bitcoin as the foundation. It's the hardwire in the ground, like a gold. It's a commodity. Ethereum is really the network effect, like Google searching. NFTs, that's like your website. That's your transaction, your commerce that we see right now. And the metaverse is this whole virtual reality. It's the next extension of social media. It's a social, digital lifestyle. It's an environment where you can create your own world or assimilate with those that you want to be assimilated with, and do it in this virtual setting. And because of this technology, it's all based on these cryptocurrencies, these tokens, and that's exciting. It brings in an investment aspect. It also brings in a value proposition, because you have to spend real dollars buying virtual dollars to go buy virtual things because it makes you feel good. And that's great. That's why you buy real things, to make you feel good. Why not buy virtual things to make you feel good? It's a small stepping stone, and certainly the younger generations are understanding it and resonating with it. The older generations are scratching their heads saying, I don't understand it, and I don't even know that I ever want to. And that's perfectly fine. But realizing that it's out there, realizing that this is how this technology is progressing. This is why Facebook is changing its names. It's basically making a statement to the world, to future employees, to say this is who we are becoming. And they're doing it to recruit top talent, to keep their mission clear, and a number of other things. But they're really jumping into this metaverse space. They tried to have their own cryptocurrency. The government came and said, no, you're too big to do that. We don't know what you can and can't do, but don't do it or we will figure that out in a court of law. And so they backed off of that. But they are absolutely working in this direction to see how they can have a metaverse platform for people to engage. And I'm excited to see what comes out of that, as well as what else happens. With technology, we're going to be able to have glasses we wear, and we're going to be able to be in our virtual reality, maybe click a button, and now they're just regular glasses where I can see and talk to people in the room. But then I click into my virtual reality, just instead of staring at my phone, I'm wearing my glasses. And that technology, it's virtual reality, augmented reality, however you want to talk about it, getting immersed into that technical world, that digital world, is really where these technologies, these cryptocurrencies, these NFTs are really going. I hope that kind of helps those that are kind of unclear. This was me trying to formulate a dozen different little micro topics and say, all right, let me just try and step these together in some sort of a coherent pattern. I love your feedback. I love your insight. If I'm off base, if you see I'm off base on something, please give me some feedback. I'm Justin Struble with BSG Advisors. I'm not a broker, I'm a fixer.